Christ, do not, if you sit here and say, you're speaking of blasphemy, Jesus never got angry. Jesus got angry. Jesus got angry on several occasions. But you never saw him say to anyone, y'all always, y'all never. He never did that. He never went ahead and summed up their whole entire life in one phrase. See, and that's what happens when you say always and never. You've taken something that somebody has done, and you have made that their whole entire life. They've always done that. You're not saying you made a mistake. You're saying you've always been like that. And that's what becomes hurtful, is because now we are making it bigger than it actually was. Now this is also, and all of these I think are key points, but this is another one because I see this happen so many times. Learn to choose your battles wisely. Somebody told me a long time ago, a situation was going on, and I said something about them, and they said, I'm not getting in this. I don't have a dog in this fight. Sometimes just because there's a situation going on doesn't mean you need to become part of it. And there's a lot of people that look for an opportunity, and if something gets started, they want to jump in there, and they want to, you remember those things that people used to, it was shaped like this and had air in it like an accordion, and you do like that and it would puff. I don't know what it was for, but it would, what was it for?
Forge, heat iron.
There you go. And I know Mr. Virgil Lee would know. But anyway, and it would push the air. And you know what air does? When I was in the military working in the boiler room, we had these things called forced draft blowers. And you would turn them on and it would blow air into the fire in the boiler. And you know what that did? It made it hotter. It made it even more. And that's what happens when you interject a lot of times in situations that you have no battle in. You just excite the situation and you make the argument even worse than it was. And there's so many people that love to, you ever know somebody that just loved to get into stuff and that every time you turn around they were in something? The Bible is sometimes you just need to step back. You know what? That's not my battle. Tell you another little story. Little boy, and I think you might get a kick out of this, little boy is selling a push mower to a preacher. Examining the machine, he asked, does it run? Yes, answered the boy. May I start it? Go ahead, said the boy. The preacher pulled and pulled and pulled, but the mower would not start. The preacher said, this thing will not start. The boy exclaimed, that's because you have to cuss it. And he said, well, I'm a preacher. I haven't cussed in 18 years. And the boy said, keep pulling, it'll come back to you. Keep pulling. Sometimes if you constantly put yourself in a situation, you are going to lose control. And if you find yourself rushing into arguments and problems all the time, it will take away what God has made you to be. I have seen it, and trust me, I have seen it in the mirror, reflecting back on myself, where you get into a situation, and the more it happens, the more, by putting yourself there, you pull away from Christ, because it starts to control you, and it starts to change you. Even if for a brief moment, like the little boy said, keep at it. It'll change you. It'll change you, and you'll do things you never imagined. And sometimes in arguing, it's like it gets so heated that the rules go out the window, and you open up a whole new, open up a whole new, I guess, Pandora's box, because you start saying things you really don't mean, you really don't feel, because your intention at that point is not about the argument. Your intention at that point is about hurting the person you're arguing with. It no longer becomes about if it's right or wrong. It is strictly about hurting the person that you're arguing with. There are ways as Christians that we can talk to one another even in disagreements. Last but not least, always speak the truth in love. Ephesians 4:15 says this, instead, speaking the truth in love, we will in all things grow up into him who is the head, that is Christ. just because you're telling somebody the truth, just because you are telling somebody that you know for a fact is the truth, you have seen it with your own eyes, there is no question whatsoever, it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Just because it's the truth doesn't mean that you can speak it in a way that is not out of love. A lot of people say, I'm just speaking the truth. That's not an excuse. And even in arguing, within the rules of arguing, you have to tell yourself, even if it's true, I have to speak that truth in love. If you will always keep that in mind, if you will always say the next time, and I'm going to try to, because I know Kita's going to bring it up the next time we start arguing. She's going to say, preacher, you hypocrite, you just talked about this a month ago. So I'm going to try to do this, but whisper, whisper. Do not let your voice start getting loud, because all it's going to do is get the other person loud and nothing good's going to come out of it. Okay, so whisper, wait, just wait, step back and say, you know what? I'm just going to wait a little bit. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to listen twice. I'm only going to speak once, but I'm going to wait. And then sometimes realize, because have you ever, and this may just be me, and sometimes I say things and I think, after I look at the responses of people in the congregation's faces, I'm like, man, I'm the only person that does that. And I was thinking there was other people with me. But you ever started an argument just for the sake of starting one? And it really wasn't that you were really bothered by the situation. You were just looking for an argument. You ever done that? Just look. Now I see, huh? Picking a fight. Sometimes we need to realize, you know what? I know what they said, and I know all they're doing is they're frustrated, or I'm frustrated, or you're frustrated, whatever the case may be, it's just frustration. And just realize, you know what? I'm not going to even get into this because I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm going to choose to stay out of this battle. It's all right. There'll be plenty more. I promise you. There will be plenty of battles throughout your life to get involved in. But if it isn't something that really matters, just don't even get into it. But no matter what, always speak the truth in love. No matter what, always consider love. And if you are talking to somebody and it's out of love and you're keeping your voice down, you will realize, you know what? There is a way as Christians that we can disagree. There's a way as Christian marriages, husbands and wives can disagree. There's a way as Christian friends that I can disagree with a friend at work, but I can still conduct myself in a way that Christ will say that's okay, because he himself did not agree. He himself got anger, but he never let that anger turn into sin, and that's the key. That is the key. If your anger starts to control you, if your anger, like anything in life, if you cannot go one day, if you not go one day without doing something, then whatever that item is, it does control you. I don't care what you say. If you cannot give up something for a 24-hour period, it controls you. So tomorrow, throughout the course of the day, see if you get angry. If you do, say, well, is that just one of those things, or let me check tomorrow. And if you find yourself day in and day out really argumentative and you can't go a whole day without starting something with somebody, then there may be some issues there with your anger. But anyway, a little information I think could help us to realize that there is a Christ-like way to disagree. If you would, please stand. I think tonight we will sing Amazing Grace.